Hi, my name is Krist Gruijthuijsen. I'm the director of KW Institute of Contemporary Art in Berlin. And with me are friends, but also fabulous collectors, Axel and Barbara Haubrok. And we're going to walk a little bit through the fair and look at a few booths, particularly in relationship to their collection, which I think is a very outspoken, specific collection that started in the late 80s. But maybe you can speak a bit more about that instead of me saying how and what. What is, like, let's say, the main focus, and why did we select these booths today?
Yeah, so we're collecting mainly conceptual art. That means all of these figurative paintings are not of that interest, which other people have. We've been collecting since the end of the 80s and turned to conceptual art in 2000 or something like that. Our collection is based in Berlin. We have a space where we show works of our collection regularly. The size of the collection, we have about 1,000 works. There are big works in this collection, but also small works, like a crumbled sheet of paper crumbled into a ball by Martin Creed. So it's a wide space, but it's very much focused on conceptual art.
Yeah, but I also think the collection is very daring, no? I mean, it doesn't really think like, oh, it should be something that I can look at. It's really, as I said, it's a very sort of quite radical collection in terms of the work that you've collected. You know, Stanley Brown doesn't get any more radical than that, I guess. And you've one of the largest. Ian Wilson, that's true. Ian Wilson. Okay. Ian Wilson, Stanley Brown, etc., etc. Yeah. Maybe just like a few names to say a little bit, like, let's say, what are the broad strokes in the collection?
Yeah. Maybe something else before we start. Yeah. So the people normally ask me when I come home from a fair, did you find something nice? I don't look for something nice. I look for something conceptual, something special. So the artists in our collection are like Stanley Brown, he's a main artist, but also there's Günter Förk. When we started collecting, of course, it was painting, like Günter Förk or Imi Knöbel, but then we turned to more conceptual artists like Martin Boyce, Martin Creed, Heimo Zobernick, Christopher Williams. There's actually nearly no painting, no figurative painting in our collection.
Also, that will be our tour today. Not much figuration here, which is maybe also a good thing because we're mostly seeing figuration these days, huh? Figurative painting. So we're going hardcore. So we start with Franco Noero. Yeah. Let's get going.
Yeah, but I think it's a very interesting fair because there are special artists that are shown in a rather broad way. So it's not like...
Yeah, but it's also a fair you can still find conceptual art, which I think is good. Yeah. And Franco Noero is absolutely one of those galleries that concentrates. It's a mix, but it has a mostly conceptual thread, I would say. Yeah. And we're here because of Simon Starling, one of the artists that is in the collection. Yes. Yeah. And I think we find it here on the left, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So we saw the work, the actual work in Basel this year, yeah. And maybe you can explain a little bit more. We do have the catalog, which is part of the work as well. But this is part of the photo of this car, isn't it?
Yeah. Of course, this is a part of. This is a piece by Simon Starling that reflects on his original piece. That is He's part of this Fiat 125 car that the artist cut in 1/3 of the part to remember the piece of Tiepolo that is present on the collection Agnelli at the Pinacoteca, where now there is the original piece of Simon Starling. So this is a poster. It is an edition of three pieces that reflect on the original part, so on the original car. Mm-hmm. And also about Simon Starling, we have these 3 lamp that is an homage to Castiglioni, and also is a work that reflects on the memory of the artist, because the artist, when he started to produce artworks, he started to work at the garage of his father, and he made these like homemade pieces. So it's a piece that reflects also on his memory, his father's memory. Mm-hmm. And then in the booth we have some other pieces of different artists. There you can see a piece by Mike Nelson that made for his show at the House of the Farmer last year in Parma. That installation is made by Mario García Torres that reflects on the idea of the shape of memory. That is the title of the piece.
So is it important for the gallery that it is conceptual art, or is it broader? Is your focus much broader?
We have a lot of artists that reflects on conceptual works, but it depends. For example, we have that beautiful piece of Sun Falls that is called rain painting, because it's a process that the artist made during some days. It's like a performing painting, because the artist, to create this, he put some kind of natural element on the canvas, and then with pigment, this is like the result that we have.
We saw a big work like this in the Hammer.
Of course. Yeah, it's a great show at the Hammer Museum.
We have a work by Simon Starling in our collection as well.
Yes.
It's called Varata. It's a car, and the metal is cut out in a shape that fits into the Paulsen lamp. And so he changed the car into the Paulsen lamp. It was a very cheap car, and a very high-level design lamp. And so always this question of these exchanges of materials.
What is then, like, for example, an artist like Simon Starling, like, what is for you then a consideration that this is the piece you want to have out of the whole breadth of his oeuvre? Like how does that work for you? You know, when you buy something, someone like Simon Starling has quite a big oeuvre, and you start collecting. I mean, I'm curious about the decision making on a certain artist.
Yeah, it's always difficult, of course. But I think for the collection we try to get the most interesting, most founded works. So it's, of course, it is. If it's new, you can't tell. But we always think of what is the work, or what is the importance of the work in the future, not just for today. So if there's work it has a special connection to daily political business, although it's not that interesting, because the works will stay in the collection for many, many, many years. And we like to have works that even increase their value, not in money-wise, but
in function and reflection.
Just a vision for the future.
How many pieces do you have of Simon?
Yeah, we have this work I told you about, and then we have a big work with photos which are related to Christopher Williams. These are photos from which Chris Williams took from a lake in Switzerland, where they save the water to sell the electric energy on a higher price when they sell it during the day, but not in the night. And so Chris Williams made 6 of these photos, and Chris and Simon Starling followed these photos into the places where they are now. So there are photos of the storage of Ingrid Götz and so on. And so it's I think 24 works it's in the end. And we have some smaller work as well, but these are the...
Is it always when you buy an artist, you then continuously follow this person, buy more? So it's not often a one-off shot?
No. Normally we try to think in rooms. So we always like to complete a room or something.
Yeah, you can have a Simon Starling room.
We have.
All right, we're moving on.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
But these are also kind of beautiful, no?
Yeah.
But Henrik Olesen is not something for the collection, or?
Yeah, we know him for a long time.
Such a fantastic artist.
Yes, he is. And there was a chance some years ago to buy his whole archive.
Right.
Yes,
wow.
And I wanted to do this, but sometimes you make the wrong decision, and this was a wrong decision in the end. But it was brilliant. So it was everything. So his computer and everything.
So where are we going now?
We're going to a gallery called Brambilla, which is interesting for me because there...
I think we're going in here. You should know this better than I do.
Yeah, that's true. So we saw work by Klaus Rinke, who is part of the collection as well, but we also just had a show with him. He's not so well known, And so we are interested in how these works look.
He was well known in
He
the
was-
80s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the 60s.
Yeah.
60s, 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, Klaus Rinke was, at a moment, one of the most promising young artists in Germany, no? Internationally. There it is.
There it is. Right. Right.
So I had the pleasure to interview Klaus Rinke, remember?
Yeah. We organized
At
it.
the
Yeah,
collection,
when we had the show.
And it's interesting to reconsider the work after such a long time, because indeed it was such a successful artist in the 60s and 70s, and then it kind of fade away for various reasons we don't have to go into now.
Yeah, but he also just changed the way of making art. So he started to be a painter, and he was doing drawings at that time in the beginning of the 70s. But right now he's doing more paintings, and he's not that much on the point of conceptual art. And this is a typical work because he's just walking through focus of the camera, and it's mainly photo work, but also we at that time showed water works. So these were works which were related to water, like a table with water. So the cover of the table was water, and he did very interesting things, doing what like digging snow and melting it, and also.
Yeah, but I mean, all of the things are about basically. Whenever I look at that body of work, I think about the act of redundancy, or the idea of disappearance, or the idea of fragility. So this idea of like working with water, which is so fluid, right, and so big at the same time, like from one river to another. You know, it's all about this grand gestures that in the end don't bring anything but the gesture, right? So the same with all the photography works, which are all about a certain form of documentation, but also a way of fading out.
Yeah, but I think he sees it in a different way.
Yeah.
Because he thinks, I had to do it, I did it, and this is the work. Yeah, and we had this discussion, and you wanted to get into it a little bit more, but he did it really stop.
I think the thing is like it's something so bombastic about the work, and simultaneously it's so fragile, so humble. You know, it's about it's very macho, and at the same time that what he does is it has something, as I said, redundant, almost like as if it's something that, you know, is not. It doesn't.
There's no work in.
There's nothing in the end, right? So it's about the idea. It's about the big act.
Yeah,
but
and
what is there to be communicated about it, right?
Yeah. And what he says is, my biggest work is the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the way he sees the world. Yeah, so.
But what about these series? Because you specifically focus on the water work.
Yeah. At the same time.
These are like the. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did performances, and it's kind of a documentation of these performances. On the other hand, these are artworks, of course, and there are lots of films like this. So it is kind of a film as well.
Right.
Yeah, and he's not that well known, and I try to push him a little bit, and so this is why we're here.
I wanna. Can I ask you something? Because we're just talking about this is an art. I mean, we're in Germany, right? So Klaus Rinke was quite a well-known artist from Düsseldorf in the late 60s and 70s, and they recently did a big exhibition on his work.
Exactly.
And I'm curious why you decide to present it now.
I've been working with Klaus for 4 years now, 5 years.
Yeah.
I've seen his work a long time ago on Flash Art, the old magazines, you know, that were in my house, and I like to keep. And I was wondering why, it seemed to me that he was totally undervalued, you know, and I couldn't find a kind of a recognition about the other galleries of his works. And I said, I need to get to know these artists, you know. But it was even difficult to find where he was living and where he was staying, because he lives in Austria. So it took me kind of a while to find him out and see what was the problem, you know, behind the fact that he was kind of disappeared. But when I met him, it was difficult and would be another story, you know, to let you know.
We know all these stories.
Yeah.
We know all these
We know these stories, yes.
And so I met him and said, listen, you're a great artist. I would like to show you, you know, and have you in my gallery because I needed artists of that level to grow as a gallery. And Klaus and myself were the perfect match to do that. And the relationship started with a bit of skepticism from his side, you know. I had to take all the problems that were coming from the past and kind of face them.
Yeah.
But after he kind of got to know me, it was easy then. I feel there is this kind of friendship that has grown. And I really believe in his work. That's the main reason. I can see the real artist. I can see how radical he is, how totally dedicated to his work he is. And I mean, he's a sincere artist with something that has been, in my opinion, incredible, you know, in the history of art, that cannot be left there. It would have been a big mistake from all of us. I mean, Klaus is German, okay, but he's a European artist. He has been involved in...
Yeah, he's living in America, so he's a world artist. Yeah.
But also his relationship with Italy, in Italy were important, you know, because he used to work with Mario Metz, they were friends, the connection with all the arte povera.
Yeah.
So in Turin, I insist on him much more than in other places, because I know that his work has been connecting with all these artists that kind of made the art scene here, you know. So that's why I think Klaus Rinke was a good choice for me.
And how was the response?
Well, at the beginning, they were all, when I started, they were all wondering. Now I can tell you that there is a group of people who enter the work, and the curators especially are realizing, you know, that we kind of let something there which is important, and they are all taking into consideration his work. We did a show in my gallery of photographs, was 1 year ago. We sold all the work, so it's kind of going very well from that point of view. The Italian collectors, you know.
Yeah, and but do you mainly sell photographs or also like installations and?
The first show was only with paintings. He made the works. Part of the works were made in Bergamo, where I have my gallery, and I sold also paintings. Of course, his main work is considered to be photography and
the early work.
Yes, exactly. But I would dare to say this, and not because he's an artist of mine. Okay, just I really believe in this. I'm very skeptical when I see painters, photographers, artists that do a bit of everything. Usually, they either do very well in one medium and do very bad in another one. But about Klaus, I've never seen an artist that can do very well everything that he does. It's kind of an exception in my opinion regarding this. So,
okay. Thank
you. Can I ask something?
Sure.
How much do you sell this for?
The price of a work like this is around 110,000.
What's the edition, or is it?
It's an artist proof.
It's an artist proof. And is it sold?
Yeah, we sold it to the museum here in Turin, in Rivoli.
So,
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a lovely fair. All right.
Zugeschlagen.
Bam.
Bam.
Bam. There we go. Are we walking the right way? I actually forgot. So we're going to another gallery, or another artist, let's put it this way, that you've been in dialogue with and been collecting. Quite, I would say, like Klaus Rinke, an artist that I think deserves a little bit more attention. She is presented in Back to the Future, Eleanor Antin. Could you both talk a little bit about her and why you started, because maybe the relationship to Los Angeles, but just a bit of a background of how that ended in the collection.
Yeah, right. So the collection is not only about collecting artworks, but also about collecting ephemera, like postcards, like invitations and things like that. Yeah. And I think one of the main works of conceptual art is this work called 100 Boots. And we often go to LA in wintertime, and I think 15 years ago I found a set of postcards from that from 1970,
Yeah.
and it was affordable at that time,
Right.
and so they were all sent out. So this is we will see. So these are photographs. So she bought. So we're here, I think.
Yeah.
So Eleanor Antin bought 100 boots, 100 rubber boots, and placed it on the beach on the way to church, in front of a museum, and in a shop. And so she produced these postcards and sent them out to friends she knew. So there was no worth in this case at all, because you just sent them out and you couldn't avoid to get them.
But why did she decide to turn them into postcards?
Yeah, because it was kind of mailing art, and so she wanted to spread her work.
Yeah.
And so these are 51, I think, of these photos and of the postcards. And we were happy to acquire at that time about 22, I think. So this is nearly the half, and I'm very happy.
I worked on Image Bank, which is a Vancouver-based mail art group that she works with very closely. So I also looked at in detail about all those postcards. Do you, like the postcards you bought, to who were they addressed?
To different people, so it was a group.
So was it like
curators, friends, unknown people, and
Okay.
famous people.
Yeah.
It's just a mixture. And what is interesting, this series was taken during the Vietnam War, and so when they started, it was very calmful, peaceful, and then the war and things like these ones happened, and so there was an influence of the time, which you can see in these photos as well. So. And I think up till now, it's the most important work of her, although it's just photographs.
But do you think that, because I actually don't know this, maybe you know this better. Can I include you in the conversation?
Yes, with pleasure.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Good
We're
morning,
back.
My name is Katerina.
We're back again.
Yes, of course.
Krist,
Hi.
Axel, Barbara.
Yes, nice to meet you. Tell me, what was the question?
Because we're talking about the postcards. They have 22 of them, the collection.
Wow,
and-
that is amazing.
And
Yes.
and I was
But
mailed
because
ones, mailed ones.
because I
Because
see
they were the one that people received, because these ones were the ones that were not mailed. You know, you have when you mail something, then it can be stretchy, it can be, the preservation is not optimal, and this is why actually these ones are well preserved, because they were the ones that she kept in the studio.
Okay.
There are some that remain. This is a complete set. I mean, you would know.
Yeah.
And it's an historical piece of art. I mean, people study the history of art books, so it's incredible. And I mean.
Yeah, but I think it's nice to have ones that have been mailed at that time.
Yes.
So if I could buy the set of unmailed and send it out right now, that's not.
That would be amazing. That would be like a continuation of this cycle. That would be, very important.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yes, of course, because she has
you can
some.
just ask her,
Yes, definitely, because she has some in her studio,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can we look at these, because this is actually an enlargement of it?
Of course, you can have a look at these ones, yes.
Because I was wondering, I'm trying to understand the function of this versus this.
Yes, so basically this is the boots entering MoMA, but this was not in the postcard over there, because these photographs have been made for the exhibition at MoMA in '73. You know that all the pieces were exhibited at MoMA.
Yeah.
So there are some that are not present in the 51 selection, like this one, that were made precisely for that exhibition. These two, you can see them. They are in the journey that the boot made. Well, these are amazing pieces. They're all vintage, unique pieces, and we're quite happy to have them. They're very, very rare, so they're actually there in the Eleanor.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic works. We're so happy, and there will be a huge exhibition on Antin in the coming, year.
Okay.
So
Where will it be?
We don't know yet.
Okay,
But
okay.
it will be a traveling exhibition.
Okay,
So
okay.
something very, very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me, Chris. Let me ask a
Yeah.
question. Which one would you like to have?
This one.
I don't want to buy you
My
one, but just
This is my favorite.
But I wish it was like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the white frame around.
I would like to have this one because it's not in the series.
Yes.
No, I totally get that. For you, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree that, of course, this is really an addition to that.
Yes.
And this is just a copy of something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Because that's
That
the
is
piece.
true.
And 51 because of a year, or am I just being? I don't know exactly why it's 51.
I don't think so, no, because the year were the 70s, so it was not. I don't think it's related to years.
No, I mean weeks.
I don't know. I
It's
don't
more
think
than,
so.
it's much more than a year.
Yeah.
Okay,
much
I know.
more
I
than
just
yeah.
because I never
think
knew.
the
I
last-
never
You know,
understood
I
the
actually-
51.
But I'm not sure. But I think the last one is when the boots enter the museum.
Yes.
And this was a show. No, this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a show.
And then it was finished because it was made for the show, like Klaus Rinke. We've been talking of Klaus Rinke. Yeah, he brings water into the museum, and then it's finished.
That could be one. I think that's possible. That's very possible.
Maybe
yeah.
maybe you give a discount because of that.
Exactly. Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's a good one.
But briefly about the booth, because it's a solo show
Yes.
by her. Huh?
Yes, it
and
is.
And it's quite a, because we've been talking about it, how her work developed and changed. But
I have an incredible story that I want to tell you. So basically, Eleanor found a series of drawings that she made in the 70s, these ones here, that were never out from the studio because she just discovered them again. And I think it's incredible. You see, it's a series of drawings of this skeleton of death dancing with a maiden. I think it's really incredible. Of course, made in the 70s,
Yeah.
Vietnam War, completely Vietnam War. She developed this obsession with death, with death. I mean, there is another drawings, another set of sketches over there. I think it's a beautiful pieces of art.
this is also fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, this is, there is always the irony that distinguishes Antin, always, 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 and also in the very contemporary series that actually are exhibited now in the gallery in Rome. We recently opened a gallery in Rome, and you can still feel her irony, sarcasm that is present in her historical pieces like the 100 Boots.
She's
So
born in
something-
35, I think.
35,
So
and still this witty, this edginess, she still has it.
35. My God, she's almost 90.
She's from 35. Yes.
yeah, I just got a letter from her sending out one of the first photo of the series.
incredible, yes.
Yeah, signed by her.
But
yeah.
that's exactly what she did. So she found out these drawings that she made in the 70s, and she, it hit her too much to find again these drawings. So she scanned them and she digitally printed them again. So we have the prints here, the digital ones, and the 70s one. And you cannot even distinguish the difference because the quality of the print is like amazing.
Yeah.
But yes, to say that she's still active, she still thinks a lot of things, and it's incredible. Yeah, we're very, very happy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so
But
much.
how is this work related to this work?
This exactly. So the irony is still very much there. I would like to start from that photograph. So as you know, the boots are all staged, so she placed them like in a set, like in a very cinematographic set. She placed all the booths, then she photographs them. She works on like on a cinema, and this is also very present in their new series called Roman Allegories. As you can see, they are all actors, and the very ironic thing is that you would think this is ancient Rome or ancient Greece, but actually this is all La Jolla, it's San Diego, it's all California, So there is that irony, that really distinguishes her. And they're all actors, friends. Everything is very artificial. You can still see that, It's some
But it looks
things that
totally different from
totally different, but still there is something that you can still find. So the irony, the sarcasm,
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
It's very different. It's very different from the
So
historical
yeah,
ones, yes.
but very often you can see that an artist is changing his strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank God. I mean, imagine that she was still doing
Exactly.
boots.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I mean, it would also be banal, no? I mean, she
Yeah.
also. But the thing is, like, her early work was also kind of feminist in a way, like with the king and with her and the beard,
Yes.
and had this like full force sort of.
Absolutely.
But I guess in this scenography, this idea of staging maybe continues. But I'm also a little bit thinking about the stretch from there to there. But
Yeah. I mean, a lot of year passed.
yes,
Yeah,
It's like
Exactly.
from the 2000s.
So we've been collecting since 30 years. We're still collecting the same.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
we're moving
thank
to the
you.
next booth.
Thank you,
so
thank
much.
you,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, so we're going to the last booth, no? And this will be a little bit more of a wild card for both of us, or three of us, because we have no idea about this artist. So, hello, we're back. Although now we're back with a camera. This is Axel and Barbara Haubrok, and they collect mostly conceptual art. I'm Krist, I direct KW in Berlin, and we already were here because we really love your booth, but we don't know anything about this artist. So, on camera, we'd like to ask you a few questions about this artist. I'm sorry. Could you enlighten us a bit more?
Oh, so Stanisław Druszcz is a pioneer of concrete poetry in Poland.
Yeah.
He lived from 1939 to 2009. So he, for example, represented our country at the Venice Biennale in 2003. So when he realized that he's a concrete poetry, because he at the late 60s he didn't know about the concrete poetry movement. He discovered it from the catalog he got from Czech Republic artists, you know. So the main role is to using the works to expose the words itself without any context. So it's usual as in the concrete poetry movement. On our stand, we are mostly focusing on works when Stanisław Druszcz use language of mathematics, and we also have a very huge impact on the process how artists make his work, because he usually do the typescripts, sketches, and after it he cooperates with the typographers and photographers, because mostly his work was made as a photographic print.
Okay.
Yeah.
No typewriting.
Typewriting. He was typewriting,
Like
but
this one. Yeah.
typewriting. But to enlarge his works, he used the photography, because during that time, it's in 70s, it was the easiest way to do that. You know, in other time he printed on the other material. He was doing.
But are these editions or
No. In the
really-
70s, there wasn't the art market, so Stanisław Druszcz was poor man, so he only made his work, order it to made it for the exhibition purpose. So there wasn't any.
So he was well known at that time, or was he working for himself?
No, he was in Poland. He was quite good known. He had a lot of exhibition in Poland, but there wasn't, the selling issue
course.
and art market.
I was wondering, because of the concrete poetry, like which artist was he in conversation with, other concrete poets or conceptual artists at the time? Do you know, like both in Poland and the East, and maybe
He rather was a really pioneer. He was a poet at the beginning, and he invented what he called concept shape. That concept shapes. His work he called concept shapes. So we have a concept at the meaning of the word, and the shape how the work is shown and made. And it comes some kind of visual aspect. And he didn't have any other some inspiration. He jumped by his own from the poetry to the concrete poetry.
But in that time there were many artists which are doing something like that.
Yes,
yeah.
but on the late 60s in the world, yes, but there wasn't any information in Poland that time.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was 1967, so there wasn't any catalogs and so on. Only I think in the beginning of the 70s he got some catalog from Czech Republic, when there was a catalog of concrete poetry artists from the West.
Right. Okay, so it really is, because that's a good point, of course, because it does in some works really kind of feel very similar from the time which was happening
So
outside, even if you're in a
Yeah.
secluded environment. Still, it comes from somewhere, right? So you need to at least have some sort of information. I always think cannot be completely out of origin. but if so, amazing.
Yeah, it's because
Debatable.
so there's, yeah, but as I know, there wasn't any sort of direct inspiration. Maybe in the 70s, maybe it was some, but we don't have so many information about this issue. But it was of course it was very because there's some kind of the repetition. Like here a człowiek. A human repetition and searching some other meaning from the linguistic experimentation, typographic experimentation. So I know that he later on has got some books of Jacques Derrida and so on. So the difference in the language and the speech and in the writing and so on. So it's we've seen, but. The information that Jacques Derrida, it was the first book I think in Poland. It was late 80s or something like maybe middle 80s.
Yeah. I have another question. So how much is his work related to Polish language? So it is in Polish, yeah?
Yes, it's
yeah,
in Polish.
And for an international collector, it's difficult to understand because normally we talk English or German or French or whatever, and so.
One of work is in a few language variations. He do it by his own, but he also very often use language of mathematics because he wants to be as his work be as much objective as it's possible. So even the word has something connection to the system of the language, and he wants to do something what is a very abstract to the maximum. So we also present the works which use some only design and the mathematics, like here the exclamation and question marks and so on. So it's also his art also has some international aspect and very universal for the.
So what does this say?
This is this is the work very famous. A human people. A human people, and inside the words we could see the smaller one, a human, people, a human people writing together.
And this is one piece you buy, right?
Yes,
How
yes,
much
yes.
is it, if I may ask?
52,000 euro.
52,000 euros. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, wonderful explanation. All right, I thought we were going to close, but we're going to visit you. We're going to stay in the east of Europe.
Okay.
Hi. This is Barbara and Axel Haubrok.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Peter. Peter, nice to meet you.
So you're our last visit on our walkie-talkie, and as I visited you yesterday and I was very, very excited about your booth, I thought we could talk briefly about it because I don't think you know this artist at all, is a Roma artist.
So we are showing now Morola, and she passed away 22 years ago, unfortunately, but we are representing her estate. And she was 75, and actually she was one of the most influential artists of Romani origins. She was at the Documenta this year, and also she was part of the first Romani pavilion in 2007 at the Venice Biennale. And first of all, her signature style painting, the written paintings you could see on the walls, which came from a story, and this is a really funny story as well, how she started to write on the paintings. Back then in the 90s, in the end of the 90s, there was an exhibition on the countryside in a little museum in Hungary, in the city of Szeged, and there was a curator who mistitled the piece because she painted a painting with a scene of her sister's funeral. And the gypsy funerals are usually with parties, and during these parties, she lost her glass eye, went to the ground, and she went on 4 legs, and she was looking for her glass eye. And she painted this scene, and then the curator titled the piece that Omara is resting, relaxing. And she was furious about that title. She went to the paper shop, and then actually she bought a permanent marker, went back to the museum and wrote on the painting the exact story. What is it about? So since then, for her whole life, she painted the painting and then wrote the story about the paintings just to have a clear message.
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
No interpretation, please.
Sure. Comics.
No interpretation. Also this one. Bitch smoking a pipe.
Yeah. This is from the 90s, actually without the text. It's before this scene and this happening, and in the early 90s she didn't use the text. And also it's other different and really fantastic pieces, the cigarette box paintings. In the last decade of her presence, she couldn't bear the smell of the turpentine, what you use for oil paint. So during the summertime, she could only paint the oil on wood paintings. So during the winter time, she cut out the cigarette boxes and she made more than 10,000 pieces of these little portraits during her last 10 years.
Okay. And the way you installed it was her idea, or did you just find these small ones and?
Actually, when she was alive, she stored all of these cigarette boxes on box paintings on A4 size papers, and then for the shows she ordered them.
Okay.
No,
it was
her idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So you see, we're ending with figurative painting anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This was like, well, that was my joker. That you learn a little bit about a specific culture that we don't acknowledge. But thank you so much for giving a little introduction.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, I think that's it. What did you think about this last stand?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
You see, there's still a little bit of figurative interest in these two people.
To be honest, it's not a question of figurative or not. It's more, it's more the question of content.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was
a pleasure.
Yeah.
And thank you guys.
Thank you.
And bye-bye.